And we are back here on Fox 59 tonight. I'm Cameron Riddle with Fox 59's very own Sierra Hignite. You can see Saturday and Sunday mornings starting at 6 a.m. on the morning show until 11 o'clock now.
Until 11 o'clock. From 10 to 11, we're exclusively on the Fox 59 Now app, which you're watching on right now.
That's right.
On Saturdays, 10 to 11, and 9:30 to 10:30 on Sundays.
And how's that going?
It's really great. You know, anytime you get something new, it's kind of like, all right, here's this big monster. How do I tame it? So initially, it was very overwhelming when they were like, it's not scripted the way that, you know, our regular newscasts are. You could just talk.
Mm-hmm.
You could talk about 5 different things for 10 minutes, and you think, 10 minutes for one topic?
Mm-hmm.
And it is crazy how we will talk and talk and talk and talk and talk and talk, and time just flies. It's great to be able to give, you know, the time to maybe the lighter or the more fun stories that, you know, in a newscast, just because of time,
much
you
going on.
can't. There's so much to get to. So you just cannot talk about everything sometimes as much as it deserves or you would like to. So that has been the best thing, is to be able to really talk and just take time and talk about the things that we want to talk about. Especially during the month of May was such a fun time to launch it, because there are just so many stories that come out of the race that don't even touch a race car. You know, the people, the culture around it, the shops, the town of Speedway, kind of the other stories behind the cars. It's just been so fun. For the month of May, our shows have basically been packed with racing and 500 type stuff that I'm like, gosh, what are we going to talk about in June?
Well, I understand you're also literally producing this show too.
I am. I've produced a little in my career, usually like producing a show that I'm anchoring. I've never produced a show like this before. So at first I was like, oh my gosh,
It's
what
more of a
am I
talk
doing?
show too.
It really is more of a talk show. I mean, it's not like news. We will read a little story and then chat about it. We talk about things that maybe wouldn't even be in our regular newscasts, you know, topics of the day, things that are going on, things that happen to us. I've learned so many things about Zach and Ethan. Ethan's been in for Amber because Amber is doing another role during the week right now. And so it's crazy what you learn about someone when you just sit and talk to them. And I sit next to Zach for our desks are even next to each other. So for almost 40 hours a week, every week, I am sitting at an arm's length of him. And still during the show, I'm learning new things about him and new stories. And Ethan told us he's like a pin collector and brought in just these giant like pin badges.
He asked about this one where I got it.
Yes, we were talking about yours. He's got some that he wears. And then he sent us pictures this weekend. I guess he's been collecting since he was a kid. So he has these like badge, what are they called?
Lanyards.
Thank you. Yes, a
wrapped
lanyard
with badges.
Yes, just pins all over them from like Disney vacations. If you were in Disney in like the 90s and 2000s, they were big on pins. I don't know if they still are, but it's just so funny. And he wears crazy socks every day. Who knew that? And he had like Dippin' Dot socks on one day, which was funny, but it's crazy. The show is so fun, and it's just such a breath of fresh air, because I think a lot of times as people in news, we get feedback of, you know, I don't want the doom and gloom. I don't want to hear about crime. I don't want to hear about politics, but these are important things that unfortunately we have to know and you have to be informed on for your safety, and to be informed to be able to make decisions about your life and voting and where you want to live, and you know, all of those things that are important. So to give people an hour of fun and light stories that will make you happy and smile and laugh along with us, it's so great. And I'm glad to be able to give that to our viewers, honestly. To my mother, because she complains all the time. She's like, I don't watch you on TV because I cannot sit there and listen to crime for 6 hours. I'm like, I get that, Mom. I understand.
Well,
So
and I always have people who ask me when I'm blessed and humbled to say that people recognize me pretty much wherever I go, and they're always like, "You're always on some terrible stories."
yeah.
Like, yeah.
Isn't it weird how you can compartmentalize it? Like I don't feel like my job is sad, you know, but we do, when you think about like the stories I was on today, like awful, terrible things. And I don't feel like my job is sad.
Well, I had to learn how to compartmentalize that, and I think I was getting very, very, very tired of doing it because so I'm thankful that I'm doing this.
Sure.
Because going out to crime scenes every day, you know, we're usually one of the first people there. We're getting there with the police. Person may be alive, you know, especially if it's a shooting, and we've been there when people die. I've seen dead bodies in the street.
Yeah.
I've been there as the family arrives and you hear that mom scream because her baby, something has happened to him. And yes, no, that did take a toll on me
Yes.
after a while. And I remember at one point I was like really, really annoyed and grumpy every time I had to go to one of these because it was always so fresh.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just me. It's different when you're anchoring and you're just talking about it.
Right.
But when you're constantly there,
Seeing it,
seeing it,
hearing it.
that was wearing me down. It's like, I don't have too many more of these left in me. Like,
No, it certainly is difficult, but I think someone that's never been in that situation, I think it's similar to firefighters and police officers. They are seeing people regularly on what is probably the worst day of their lives and
mm-hmm,
see horrific things, but it's such an essential job that it's almost like that your job is so important and people need you
mm-hmm,
that it almost helps balance that of while you are there in a terrible situation, you are putting some good in it. For us, yeah, we're at a crime scene and yeah, it's terrible, but we do get the opportunity to share, that victim's story or help get information, spread information that could help solve that murder and give that family some peace.
mm-hmm,
That is, I feel like, how I have to think about it to let myself sleep at night and,
mm-hmm,
continue to do my job. It is an essential thing. We hold so many people accountable and we are the voice of the people to ensure that the right things are happening and to give a voice to people who are wronged or something has happened to them, and ask questions to people that they might not have access to.
mm-hmm. What for you? What stories do you like doing? Like, I like to have fun. I can do the hard news,
Yeah,
but I don't like talking about breaking news and deceased people and crimes every day.
sure. That's never, I don't think, anyone's favorite. I think more than like a type of story, I love like fast pace. I love when things are breaking. I love to go have fun, but I love when they're like, just go out there, you have no script, go and do something.
Mm-hmm,
Where
mm-hmm,
you're like,
mm-hmm,
whether it's stuff at the 500, but like go find somebody and talk to them.
mm-hmm.
When it's just fast and crazy and off the cuff, it can get kind of boring to just sit and read and
Yes.
here's something that I wrote.
Mm-hmm,
While I do love to write a impactful emotional story, and share those, it's so nice to break it up with like the fast pace go go go,
right.
announcements or fun things, or sometimes it is, a sad thing, but to get to then follow that and investigate it to me is so rewarding to get that outcome and get that answer and literally see your work make a difference in someone's life.
Mm-hmm,
Um, to me, what I don't like is when people just stay so surface level and they're like, here's another crime, here's another
mm-hmm,
crime, here's another crime.
mm-hmm,
That is what I think tires people out and what almost makes us numb to all the crime.
mm-hmm,
And it's, I think, a huge issue in society. But when you give kind of a face and a story to these things that makes people feel the impact of what has happened, I think that is how you get difference and how you get change is, showing people this was not the 129th person to be shot and killed in Indianapolis this year. This is a father. This is a man with a job that was
mm-hmm.
doing this, and telling that story.
Let me ask you a psychological or is it philosophical question?
I don't know, ask it.
Um, when you're telling a story,
Hmm.
do you feel that your number one job is to tell both sides or to be accurate?
I think it's to be accurate. I mean, I think our society has gotten into a place that I think does no one a favor of, well, we need to hear what they have to say.
Mm-hmm.
And while, yes, it's important to get all sides of a story, I think our job as journalists is to show you what the truth is. Do I need to interview someone who is swearing up and down that the sky is orange?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I can see with my own two eyes the sky is not orange, and that does not mean you get to argue with me that the sky is orange. The
Right.
sky is blue, end of story. That is the fact.
Mm-hmm.
I think we get into this place where, people are making fact and opinion equal when they are in fact two very different things. And that is why I think, especially in the age of social media and, the amount of access to information that we have, knowing fact from opinion or fiction or something that is straight up made up
Mm-hmm.
is so important. And it is a responsibility of us as journalists that I think anyone in journalism needs to take so seriously, that what we say and what we publish matters so that people can have trust in us,
Mm-hmm.
but also to help people realize that. I mean, you are entitled to your opinion, but that does not change the fact of the matter,
Mm-hmm.
and my
Mm-hmm.
job is to tell you the facts, whether you like them, whether you agree with them or not. I think politically, it doesn't matter what side of the spectrum you're on. People get so offended of like, well, you always say negative things about this or positive things about this. And, people get so upset. It's like, I'm telling you the facts. And that is my job. Whether
Mhm.
you like that or that favors what you believe, it's none of my business. My job is to tell you the facts, take the fluff out of it, and allow you to make a decision based on your beliefs. And that's none of my business what you
Mhm.
believe. Believe what you want.
Well, and I asked that because a couple years ago, especially during the pandemic time, I remember somebody saying, we need to make sure that we're being nice. Like we're trying to please everybody. Like you can't please everybody.
No, the best journalists, everyone is calling you, the Democrats say you're a Republican, the Republicans say that you're a Democrat because
Mhm.
you are walking straight down the middle and you are not leaning either way.
Mhm. Which is why the best way to have a good time is to not do those stories.
Sure,
Is to
that
have fun.
certainly it does get you out of the weeds there, but
Yes.
it's so hard because they are so essential, and I think that journalists now face such a different hurdle than I think journalists have in the past, just
Mhm.
again with the access of information and everyone having access to us
Mhm.
and having social media where anyone could write anything. I mean,
Yes.
I could literally go online and write like again, like the sky is orange. And if that's in an investigation or someone's making a claim against someone that they did something, you have to hold that, it's at some point look at it and say, okay, is this true? And kind of follow that lead. And oftentimes, people say what they want, like, well, I thought,
Mhm.
because the average Joe doesn't, hold themselves to the same ethical standard that a journalist does. But I think people forget that when you're on TikTok and you're like, well, I saw this person
Right.
say that this happened. Okay, but that's just Susie at home. What access does she have? If she did not witness it, I think we have to take that into account when we're believing what we see online, that not everyone is held to the standard of a journalist or a professional who our job is to give factual information.
Well, everybody now can buy podcast equipment and
Yeah,
lights and whatnot and make it even look good. But I tell you what's scary is AI. How uh, advanced the video stuff is getting. It's getting really hard
it is.
to tell, wait a minute, is this real or not? Like
Mhm.
literally, I saw something yesterday that I still have to double check. Everybody was saying it was real, but I was like, this has to be AI. We're like, no, this is like, I think in the end, I think it's real, but it would
It's crazy that
surprise
you
me.
have to ask yourself.
Yeah.
The amount of things that my sister sends me, and she's like, "Wait, is this true? Is this real? Did this person really say that?" And sometimes I'm like, "I don't know.
Right.
I haven't seen that. Let me go see if I can find a credible source."
Right.
But I think so often now people don't even know what a credible source is.
Right.
Is part of that an issue with the media and maybe have certain outlets or certain sources burned the rest of us by a couple missteps? Maybe, probably. But there are credible journalists out there and there are still credible sources, and people need to remember that.
Hmm. Um, and that's also why it's troubling that like on Twitter or X
Whatever.
and Facebook, yeah. Um, his mama named him Twitter, so I'm gonna keep
Right,
calling him
exactly.
Twitter.
That's what he is to me.
um, but now they don't even fact check. They used to put there's a little bit on X now, but now there's just not even like during COVID they had information there that would tell you
Mhm.
if
Something was inaccurate
yes,
or yeah.
yes.
Yeah, which I think was a helpful tool. I mean, and I think you're right with the whole AI thing. AI is not 100% accurate. Yesterday is a perfect example. Scott Jones he asked something in AI, I don't remember, something about the race.
Mhm.
And it came back with the answer of the winner of the 2025, the race that happens on Sunday that has not happened yet. The
Mhm.
winner of the 2025 Indy 500 is Joseph Newgarden.
Mhm. Hasn't happened yet.
Okay, well, that race hasn't happened yet, so that is false. Could Joseph Newgarden win? Probably. I think it's increasingly less likely given he's starting 32nd in the
Mhm.
grid, and that's
Mhm.
never happened. Could it? Sure. AI wouldn't know that yet. And I
Mhm.
think right now it is so useful for so many things and can be so incredibly helpful with certain tasks and projects. And I so agree with that in terms of cutting down on time. But you also still have to fact check AI.
Sierra, back when we were in school, all we had to worry about was is what we got off Wikipedia.
Right. Am
Is
I
that good enough?
plagiarizing?
Now, and this is I think about this as a dad. So like, Carter is, uh, well, first of all, were your kids automatically attracted to a cell phone?
I think probably just because I'm always holding my phone. So yeah,
Like I don't.
unfortunately,
I,
Jack's favorite toys at school is the technology section. He's on like these brick phones and like he loves his little play laptop.
I don't know how they know. Like it's like it's wired into them. Like
Right. Well,
how?
they always see it. Think of how my phone is always in my hand.
Yeah.
I have to consciously, and it's terrible and I'm trying to be better, but like I have to be like, put my phone down
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not going to touch my phone for an hour. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not going to look at it. I'm not going to touch it. But like, think of how often they see us texting, scrolling, calling
Mm-hmm.
someone. And that's all they want to do is just do what we're doing. That's why they want to be in the kitchen and cook. They don't know what they're cooking.
All right, that's logical because I'm like, I don't understand how even at the time, how does a 4 month old or 5 month old who can barely hold anything, he knows he wants
Right.
this phone?
Yeah. And they want to put it on their face. They want to lick it, which is disgusting.
Yeah.
But to them,
Well, in mine, he will look like I feel like he knows what it is. Like
right.
he
He's
will
like,
look.
do we look enough alike that I can unlock the Space
Yeah,
ID?
he will
Right.
literally look at it and be like, and I took a screenshot because my sister had him for a little bit last night, and um, he was like looking at me. We were on FaceTime, and he's looking dead at me, and like he knows that
Yeah.
I'm talking to him. So where I was going with that was the connection between that and the kids is now we got to raise kids in this, Sierra.
I know. I know. I fear that AI has become the new computer and that's going to be the debate. Whereas like when we were in school, it was you can't, or not computer, calculator,
Mm-hmm.
where you can't use your calculator in the math test. Okay. Why? Because if I ever have to do this in real life, I'm going to have a calculator.
Right. Correct.
It is now going to be the argument of these kids. And I'm sure it already is. Why can't I use AI? If I ever have to have this information or this skill in real life, I'm going to have access to AI.
Mm-hmm.
And it's true, they will,
Mm-hmm.
but you still have to have a brain that can think critically.
Correct.
And I think that for years we're going to be toying with how do we teach kids to think critically and use their brain and problem solve without using AI. But then in the same token, this is this really innovative and great technology. How do we integrate that into our society to further advance it?
Well, I think it all goes back to the trust part of it too, because you know the basics of numbers, you know if you put in 3 plus 3 and it comes out as 20, well, that's not right.
Right.
But at the same time, your calculator doesn't do that because it's a calculator. That's all it does.
Right.
That's its purpose. But with AI, even these things that we trust, and if we put that same trust we put into a calculator into AI, we don't know if the information that it's producing is correct if you don't have the basic information that you're
Yes.
talking about.
Right. And I think that's the critical thinking tool that as, an adult, I understand why it's important, but it's like you're sitting in history class and you're like, why do I have to learn this? It already happened. And now I'm like, gosh, I wish I could go take high school history and high
Mm-hmm.
school economics again. And I would just pay so much more attention and have so much better of understanding than I did at 14, 16 years old, where I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, snore. I don't need this. Yeah, breaking news. You do need it.
Yeah.
You actually do.
I still, though, have not used the Pythagorean theorem.
You know what? I haven't. I've not used that one. But however, all that tax and econ stuff that
Mm-hmm.
I probably slept through,
Mm-hmm.
I could have used that this year. When I got that IRS bill.
Yeah, yeah, I'm sure that that
Could have.
that that good tax bill, and I think probably the most valuable thing in this job, and I always enjoyed history, was history class.
Yeah.
To know why certain things are significant and why they're important
Mhm.
because of history. It's just like we're making a big deal here at Fox 59 that the race is going to air live
Mhm.
on this channel. Well, it's a big deal because it's never happened before.
Right. But if you
So
didn't know that, you're like, okay.
yes,
And
yes, it's never happened, and just so happens that for this station, this is not only the first time the race has ever aired on the station, it's happening live.
Mhm.
So it's like, how lucky did you get? But when you know the significance of something that the race was on ABC for 50 years, and then it was on NBC for 3 years, and then now you get it, and even all those years on ABC, it wasn't live; it
right.
was pre-taped. So you on the first run, you get it, and boom. So it's that context, and you know, uh, I used AI for the first time. Literally, not, well, we use AI every day with our phones, but I use
Sure, but purposefully going into
yes,
ChatGPT and using it.
yes, and to make a legal document because it's like how should this go? It was literally my first time doing it, and it was literally just last night, and I was amazed at
It's
what it could do.
incredible. I
Yeah.
have it not like writing for stories, but same thing for like if I'm doing a marketing thing or a social media thing, I'm like, make this sound, like this.
Mm-hmm.
Or write me an email that says this, and this, to
Yes.
sound better. And I'm like, wow.
Yes.
Sometimes I'm just testing it. I don't even use it, but
Mhm.
it is incredible what it can do. It's incredible because I'm an adult that knows how to do it. It would be terrifying for me as a teenager of like, how are they going to communicate?
Yeah.
That's what I seriously wonder is with all this technology, I think we are losing a bit of the art of communication.
I think so.
Even, I mean, have you heard all these stories about dating apps? We're obviously not using dating
Mhm.
apps, but
Mhm.
I mean, how they're integrating AI to help people talk to each other, to find each
Ugh.
other, to teach people how to flirt. I'm like, what happens when you have to sit down and have dinner with this person?
Right. Right.
Literally, what are you going to do? I
Right.
don't think that they could. I mean, luckily I didn't have to date that much because I don't think I'd be very good at it
Right.
either, but
Right.
let alone if I had to lean on AI and I never had to talk to someone. It's crazy.
And that now, and so where you just said, like, I'm not using the dating apps, but now I always think, yeah, well, what's Carter gonna have?
Right. And think of how much ChatGPT and AI has evolved in the last, I mean, seriously, 3 years.
Yeah.
It has exploded. It is everywhere.
Hmm.
10 years from now?
I don't know. And apparently, 10 years from now, neither of us allegedly will have this job because there's AI news anchors.
They're not very good.
Who knows what they'll be in 10 years?
That's true. They've got some time to go to college and learn. I don't
Yes.
know.
I would like to think that we're the cream of the crop, and you
I would
can't
agree.
replace this. I wouldn't be surprised, if they try to make something after us, like
Sure.
in our image, like try to emulate
Right.
that.
Mhm.
Then that's when we have a problem.
Sure. Well, that was a big thing with, the SAG strikes with the actors and
Yes.
writers, not being able to take someone and literally create a movie that they're not even present for, but you're
Yes.
using their image.
Yeah. Would be a problem.
I hope we retire before then.
I hope so too. I hope so too. Sierra, you've got the big show coming up. Lots of shows this weekend. So you only have to produce your Saturday show, but then
Correct.
Sunday is the big
The
show.
big show. That's right. We're going to be on from 5 to 10 a.m. on Fox 59 out live at the track. It's going to be fantastic, action packed. We have so many cool things planned for you guys. I hope you can tune in. After our coverage ends at 10, then Fox Sports takes over from 10 to 12:45. And then 12:45, you can watch the race live on Fox 59. If you're going to be maybe at the race, maybe in the snake pit, you're not going to see the actual cars driving that much. You can actually rewatch it at 7 p.m. on Fox 59 as well. So we'll have it live at 12:45 and then re-air it at 7.
I am impressed that you had all that
I've
memorized.
read it so many times, I
I
fear
know.
I'll never forget it.
I know. All right. We will watch you then. And then of course weekday morning she's on our sister station on CBS4 in the morning. So you can find Sierra there. We'll be back tomorrow with more of Fox 59 tonight. We'll continue our conversation on the radio. On Sunday, join me on Open Lines on 106.7 WTLC and Hot 100.9, where you can call into the show. We'll talk about what we talked about here on the show and so much more. And then we'll of course be back here weeknights at 8 o'clock on the Fox 59 streaming app and on YouTube. I'm Cameron Riddle. Have a great night.